If you were starting out again today, what would you do to replicate your success?
I would start going right through companies, and I probably would focus on smaller companies because I would be working with smaller sums and there's more chance that something is overlooked in that arena. But that's the only way to do it. I mean, you have to buy businesses or little pieces of businesses called stocks, and you have to buy them at attractive prices, and you have to buy into good businesses. And that advice will be the same 100 years from now in terms of investing. That's what it's all about. And you can't expect anybody else to do it for you. People will not tell you about wonderful little investments. It's not the way the investment business is set up. You know, you've got to learn what you know and what you don't know, and within the arena of what you know, you have to pursue it very vigorously and act on it when you find it. You can't look around for people to agree with you. You can't look around for people to even know what you're talking about. You have to think for yourself, and if you do, you'll find things.
How's it going, everyone? I'm very excited, very excited today to talk about AbCellera Biologics. This is a stock that debuted on the NASDAQ and American Stock Exchanges on December 11th, 2020, had an IPO where it was valuated approximately about 6 times higher than what it is now. So that would have made it 6 times 3, quick maths. It would have been close to a 30 billion market cap, around a 27 billion market cap. So, I'm looking at this. I've been following this one for a while, actually. And around where it is at today, this is definitely where I was thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do a full-fledged video on this on the channel. Go ahead and just talk about this one, give the whole thesis, and tell you what's going on here and what I see is happening here and why I think this might be an opportunity. With that being said, here's AbCellera Biologics at a glance here today on the 23rd of July. We got 2.87 billion market cap, $10 stock more or less, down 82%, 83% since its IPO. What I think so interesting about this company is this company has a huge runway to do a huge thing that's very innovative and that no other company's particularly done or carved out a niche for. And that's AI-based drug discovery. Drug discovery is a huge problem in healthcare. It's really annoying, it's a hassle, and it costs a lot of money to do. And it's very burdensome on whoever chooses to do it. What's interesting to me about this company is they have a good management. There is execution risk. However, they've kept the balance sheet very clean. The revenues are there, the partnerships are there, and it seems to me like a very mature company. It's been working for over a decade, although it just became public. And it's just interesting to me because in this market, where obviously, I don't know if you know, I've talked about this before, biotech index are just cut in half from all-time highs. Incredible biotech bear market here, as well as, bear markets in all different types of equities. With that being said, this thing is down 83% from all-time highs. So now this is the time to start talking about it. I'm really interested in companies where they keep the balance sheet very well. The cash flows are there, and the idea of what they're trying to do makes sense, and it can create a lot of alpha. It can create a lot of value for shareholders, for the world. It can be a great business. AbCellera does a great job with their corporate presentations and their theming. Whoever does their marketing or whatever, I think they're doing a great job with it. The logo and all that stuff. With that being said, this is the latest corporate presentation. I want to go ahead and just run through this all and give you guys the gist of what's going on here and what I see. This figure down here is pointing out the amount of time it's taking to FDA to approve antibodies. It took 29 years since 1986, and then in the last 6 years, it took 6 years to approve 50. So although they are approving antibodies a lot faster, it's still taking them years on end to get these things approved out into market and into helping patients and in the healthcare system. And it's at an inflection point where antibody drug discoveries happen. It can happen faster because of things like AbCellera AI platform and whatnot. But FDA, it's still taking a long time to get these things approved and out into patients. So AbCellera wants to bring antibodies to patients faster. They want to do it with a higher probability of success via their platform, and they want to do it in less time via their platform. So you can see here, their investigational new drug application is based around 3 platforms of technology, their workforce and infrastructure, and they all integrate here with software and data science. These are the main things that they use to get their jobs done. This company is really good if you definitely believe in things like tech, but you also believe in things like infrastructure, data warehousing, things of that nature, AI, software, data science. If you believe in things like that and that they will scale up in the future and they will continue to solve problems, well, that's what AbCellera is trying to leverage here. Although it's a recently public company towards the end of 2020, they've been in the game for over 10 years. They've been founded since 2012. They have over 500,000 square footage in facilities. I think that's quite impressive for a lot of lab work and whatnot. They have over 400 employees, and it's rapidly growing. I believe this year they're close to adding like 100 just this year alone, year to date. So as you can see here, AbCellera really focuses the bulk of their work on the preclinical aspects of drug development. And they actually pass on phase 1, 2, and 3 and approval onto their partners. They still will share in the royalties process and all that. However, they just miss out on a lot of the, repetitive phase 1 through 3 trials that a lot of publishers of drugs have to go through. They can be very costly, these phase 1 through 3 trials. They can take a long time, be a bit of a headache. AbCellera just kind of wants to specialize in the preclinical aspects of it. They want to use and leverage their AI platform to discover drugs and then pass a lot of that FDA processing onto companies that have, at this time, a lot more resources and connections with the FDA, as well as a lot more funds that they're willing to expend out on research to get through phase 1 through 3, as well as trials, because honestly, trials is what you're going to be spending your money on. So as you can see here, quite an impressive list of partners here. Moderna, which we talked about in bulk here on the channel before. Eli Lilly, company headquarters in Indianapolis, very large company. I believe around like 300 billion market cap, pretty much like runs the city. Gilead Sciences, GlaxoSmithKline, you see Novartis here, Everest, Sanofi, Pfizer. I'm just going to throw out a couple more. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, that's like private charity. DARPA is Pandemic Response, public health organization. You got Regeneron in here. It's quite Merck, very, very impressive list of partners. And things that I think is really interesting is when they work with these partners, the way that they get paid is quite interesting. So I mentioned before that they have royalties that they will collect. After they discovered the drug's out there, it's treating patients, they get royalties on all that work. But it's not even just that, they get milestone payments like, hey, you treated this many patients, then their partner will like splash them with some cash. As well as, when they work with partners like these, they get equity and equity-like positionings, with their partners that their partners are willing to pay them with, as well as, options, certain investment options that'll open up to AbCellera because they are partnered with these companies. Very interesting stuff. This is kind of a quick breakdown of some of the stuff I was talking about before. So you can see here in the preclinical phase, we got $3 million in research fees. This is a little example. And then phase 1 through 3, about $9 million in fees could be expected there. But as I said, AbCellera is really passing on those costs to their partner. They're just kind of tackling the research fees on their end. But then, when the successful drug is out and it's treating patients, it'll treat patients for years, as well as it's collecting tens of millions in revenue, hundreds of millions in the later years. It's a very profitable business, creating an innovative drug that can solve problems. This is a quick example of their CV19 antibodies. And just kind of like the breakdown of how that went for them. They spent under $5 million on it. $8 million went to their partner. I believe Lilly was their partner for this one. I'll go into that in a second after this slide. And approval and commercial milestones, $14 million there. And then, royalties in aggregate of over $500 million with a B, billion with a B. So it's incredibly profitable. I mean, AbCellera's over here just expending under $5 million, and it's impressive what they've done with their platform, because they actually develop the drug, and then Lilly goes on to test it and get the stuff worked out, get it out into published with FDA and approved, and all the legality they got to go through and with whatnot with that. But once it's actually out and in the market, AbCellera is a part of a royalty generating machine. This is Bamlanivimab. This is the antibody that AbCellera developed in conjunction with Lilly. Lilly did the phase 1 through 3 tests, more or less, I'd imagine. And then, it's just was a really, really useful antibody. You can see here from the New England Journal of Medicine testing that, the over 1,000 patients in a randomized study, and in the group that had the antibody, none of them died of CV19. The group without the antibody, 10 deaths. And then you got the group with the antibody, only 2% of them getting CV19. And then the group without the antibody, over 7% of them, over 7% of them having CV19. We already mentioned fatalities. So with that being said, it just really goes to show with a 0.001 significance that this antibody was very, very significant in just being because it was emergency use authorized, in the bulk of the crisis, I guess. But the fact that it was just able to produce these numbers of, immune response, ability to prevent infection, as well as, like I said, immune response and living through infection. The ability of generating these statistically significant numbers is just like a testament to like how strong of a medication, how good of a platform AbCellera does have to be able to quickly find antibodies like this and like, all right, hey, this, isn't a cure, but like, let's get this in the market because like this can do something for someone. And the interesting thing about Bamlanivimab, and like, I don't know why this is, but it's typically given through like an IV. And for whatever reason, like anti-vax people are, they're like, oh no vaccine. But for some reason, some people are like, can we like give you this Bamlanivimab thing through IV? Some people will be like, whatever, home. I've been on an IV before, I'll do it again. So it's like, it's just kind of weird how like you have these anti-vax people, but they'd be down for like the Bamlanivimab treatment, but then, they wouldn't be down to get the vaccine. So I don't know. It's just, that's the thing I think is cool about it, is that, you just want everyone to be as healthy as they can be. And I'd rather that someone at least get like some type of treatment as opposed to getting like no treatment. And that's what at the time, the Bamlanivimab offered was not a vaccine alternative, but it was something that you could do to bolster your immune system. As well as Bamlanivimab really came online before like we had the vaccines out into the public. So the response and the FDA emergency approval came a lot faster than the vaccine rollout. So yeah, these are really like their 4 key value drivers here. Probability of success. They don't really want to deal with a partner and with a probable new drug if they don't feel like they have good big data on that drug, if they don't feel like they have a good like group of scientists who think that they have like a scheme to like develop the drug. If they don't think that there's a good probability of success, they're not going to like participate in that project. Speed is huge for them. As I said, Bamlanivimab got out into the public's hands before many of the public got their hands on the vaccine. So just, having that access to something for immunity, for prevention, the speed, because with climate change, with always with evolving environments in the, man-made, ever-evolving world, new diseases and all that can emerge at any point. So not even just new diseases, but diseases that are ongoing battles as well. So to develop those with speed is high value. Portfolio volume is also huge here. As I mentioned, they had many partners. So because of that, they're going to add a lot of different investments to their balance sheet. This company is really great at returning capital and return on invested capital. This is a company where Peter Thiel, of one of the founders, I believe, of PayPal, he is involved in the board of this company. And Peter Thiel is notoriously, from what I've researched about him, he's always been in businesses that are really good at just returning their investment on capital. I'm invested in PayPal, and PayPal has been really good at that historically, and I think they will continue to do so because you see them like invested in things like Mercado Libre and whatnot. They just have a lot of like different like schemes, I believe, like going on at PayPal, and this company to me seems no different with the way they've been building a bunch of healthcare equity within their partners and whatnot, and a bunch of different private deals and whatnot. And that goes on to deal structures, which is the last core of their thing, where they want good royalty agreements and whatnot in their deals. So yeah, also portfolio diversity that can come in. What type of treatments are you trying to offer? What type of treatments are you trying to bring to market? For a lot of different drug companies, if you can diversify out this portfolio of yours, it's kind of good because, I don't know, if something were to happen where like all of a sudden, like we don't need you to develop this drug anymore, not like all your research was in like, I don't know, immunology, or not all your research was in like dermatology. As you can see here, they have a very diversified portfolio where over half of their research does go into oncology, but that makes sense because like everyone's trying to, work on cancer. But then all these other things are very well diversified with, all the other 42% going into all different types of healthcare treatment. Their portfolio has 131 programs. So really, AbCellera's trying to take advantage of a lot of the turn of the decade, modern AI, a lot of the, as I see here, like, proprietary technologies, proprietary data science software. Data science is going to be a huge thing for this company, as well as artificial intelligence and computational tools of the modern age. All that stuff's been evolving, and they're really trying to like take advantage of this to kind of like through a S-curve, continually produce more drugs, produce better drugs, more drugs and better drugs year by year. The blueprints are very laid out. The process to approval is very streamlined. You know what I'm saying? That's really what they're trying to build on. They're trying to make that year by year just smoother, easier, on the backbone of ever improving technology. So this is kind of how they can develop some of their different drugs. They can source their immune responses from multiple different species, and then they can search millions of different immune cells within that species. They can decode 100 different target-specific antibodies, and then they can analyze hundreds to find dozens of candidates within the desired properties. So they keep narrowing it down, keep narrowing it down, keep narrowing it down. And then they're going to engineer a few characterized leads based on those few dozens that they've narrowed it down to. They're going to just engineer with a few of those amongst those dozen. And then they're going to deliver the best antibody drug candidate. So that's basically how it works. You know, it's like start with a large amount of data points, and then just kind of like specifically search your way down onto like what's the nitpick of the problem that you want to solve. And based on that problem, you just, you know, use your large database to just kind of work your way down. Yeah, here's a look at the team. I already mentioned Peter Thiel earlier, so here he is. He's just a director, just chilling right here. He's got his pick. He's you know, he's involved. But yeah, this guy Carl Hansen here, he's the director and CEO of the company. And I was doing a little research on him. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I found. So yeah, this is just his like LinkedIn, and that looked pretty good. I liked what I saw actually. So yeah, he did the whole doctor. He spent a lot of time at University of British Columbia. Got a looks like 2 degrees. Yeah, like 2 degrees maybe. He spent like 7 years there, and then he did 4 years at Caltech, and got his PhD there. So Caltech is actually a really great school for someone going into biotech. The biotech hub of the world is San Francisco, if you didn't already know. This company is based out of Vancouver, but Vancouver is a rapidly growing biotech hub as well, and a tech hub as well. And I just want to present that as, and Canada just has a good economic outlook, in my opinion. I don't think it's quite as good as the US. I think the US is still maybe like an S&P 500 is kind of more the place to be, but Canada is still very strong. I think it is very strong. I don't think it really matters. You know, San Francisco is kind of expensive, so maybe being in Vancouver, maybe that's like a cheaper place for this company to set up shop and whatnot. And like I said, it is a growing area and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, you know, Caltech, very good school for someone trying to go into biotech. Makes a lot of sense. Spent a lot of years working on like biotech, just kind of like micro caps here, and started at AbCellera in 2012. So yeah, very impressive. I was very impressed with all this. And another thing I just kind of want to point out, and I guess this goes hand in hand with, you know, just looking at his LinkedIn, because I'm not super impressed with the LinkedIn, but I'm very impressed with it, if that makes sense. But I just want to point out to y'all, right here, the Glassdoor of AbCellera. They got a 4.8 in 29 votes, 31 votes, something like that. That's a really high score. I was very impressed with it. But yeah, that's what I was saying. Like Carl Hansen, you know, I'm feeling pretty good about him, because like the Glassdoor score is very, very high for this company. Like people seem to really like working here. This dude's saying he had a good paying job. He said he had to work long hours, but I said this before when I was talking about my Moderna bio and tech videos. Because you're doing like drug discovery, you got to do a lot of time in the lab. A lot of these trials take a lot of time, a lot of your kind of like mental energy. You just gotta hang around your work environment, because sometimes, you know, you gotta wait for something to finish or whatnot. But yeah, I'd say as long as the Glassdoor score stays really high, this CEO looks like he's doing a great job so far with the company, and that's why I think it is pretty interesting. So as you can see here, their portfolio has been rapidly growing. They just have more programs than ever today, despite the drop in the stock price. The actual business of the company appears to be ever improving. Here's a little bit on their portfolio in the clinic already. I already talked about Bamlanivimab and how that had been used. But these are some other things, you know, they Invitex and Novarock, they've done some work with them and gotten some drugs out into the clinic. So yeah, I love this slide right here. You can see right here, they have a very strong cash position. It says over 800 million. So if they have over 800 million cash position, personally, I feel like I'm buying this company for only $2 billion price tag. The institutional pricing offering, they had this thing at, what did I say, a 27 billion market cap here at $58 a share. I'm buying this thing for $2 billion market cap. I really love this slide here. As I said, like their marketing and presentation is so great. But this slide just kind of talks about how there's so many unique antibodies inside each organism, and you can definitely use AI-based tools to see what all they want to do and help that in your drug discovery process. Yeah, I'm in love with these slides. These slides are just like so cool looking. But yeah, I mean, that's really all I wanted to talk to you guys about as far as the presentation. Let's take a look at the financials and balance sheet of this company. As I said, this is a rapidly growing company. This has been labeled as one of the fastest growing companies, and again, it's just like, I don't know why this is so neglected or sold off, or I don't know why it's just like people don't talk about it. Maybe people haven't heard of it. It's only a $2 billion market cap company with a few hundred employees, so like I don't know if that that has to factor into like why no one's talking about this, but it seems so promising to me at least. But as you can see here, like this revenue is just skyrocketing, and the cost of revenue just remains low because, as I said, this is only a preclinical company. They're not really going on to those crazy 1 through 3 phase trials. They're not trying to like accomplish all that. They're passing on those costs to their partner. They're focused on just spending in the preclinical, which keeps a lot of their costs down, although they can generate the revenue through the royalties still via their agreements. So, the cost of revenue will stay low. Revenue appears to grow in totality though. Balance sheet, you guys know how I feel about assets over liabilities, and they seem to be doing a good job with that. They don't seem to be going into too much debt here. Very manageable debt as far as their cash flows. They just have to keep that cash flow consistent. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that cash flow streams are particularly reliable in the biotech industry, because they're not, but things seem to be manageable. They don't seem to be overstepping bounds or jumping sharks, to me at least. Bro got a little Forbes feature here. That's kind of cool, I guess. Yeah, this is a little quick tidbit on some of the stuff I was telling you guys about biotech, why it is still promising in Canada. California and San Fran, that seems to be the hub of the world as far as biotech, and the US is the leader in biotech. But Vancouver seems to be booming because it is so closely neighbored to the US, as well as it's just like a city kind of booming on its own. So that's why I'm very optimistic about them being a Vancouver-based biotech company. They're expected to have 65,000 additional workers by 2029. And I think AbCellera will have to put on a lot of those workers themselves, because I think they are going to be one of the faster growing companies. And I do believe that they're going to need to hire a very intelligent workforce to help them scale up and whatnot. So yeah, amazing company. I'm tremendously excited to see where this one goes. I'm trying to really build out a pretty big position, pretty big ambitious position. It's definitely a high risk, high reward company. We're dealing with under 3 billion market cap. There's really no telling what's going to happen to this little baby, because it is a little baby, in the grand scheme of things. I mean, with that being said, high risk, there's high reward. And as a young man, I'm willing to take those risks on the small cap sometimes, because Mr. Warren Buffett, he knows that you're able to generate more returns that way. And if you're a young man starting out, you're trying to create a name for yourself a little bit, trying to put a little money in your pocket, sometimes you gotta take that risk. Sometimes you gotta be willing to do a little bit of leap of faith after you've done some research. So that's kind of what I'm doing here with AbCellera Biologics. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate all of you so much for watching. I'm the Zoomer Value Investor. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.